One of my favorite things about World of Warcraft is seeing new class designs, seeing how classes are evolving through the expansion or in like beta stages, and then explaining them and showing how they're changing, and then also showing what's best. I think that that's really fun. And what's really cool is that Blizzard and Legion specifically has been making class reworks, have been changing up talents, have been changing how things work together on different classes in the middle of the expansion, right? Because previously you would have to wait for an expansion to come out before any type of real class rework came in, but that's not the case anymore. And with 7.1.5, this like mini patch coming out, there's been some class reworks, and I want to go over one that really stands out, and that is actually the Arcane Mage. So the Arcane Mage has seen a lot of changes, and I want to kind of just go over them. I want to go over the talents that are new and fresh and how they kind of synergize together. But just real quick, this is like totally subject to change, and also I expect it to change really because I expect some nerfs to come onto the mage right now, like the Arcane Mage. I think that Arcane Mage is too strong since I've been 1 and 2 shotting people in arena. So regardless, let's jump into it. The very first one I want to talk about is the Prismatic Barrier. They actually removed mage armor from the Arcane Mage class and gave them Prismatic Barrier along with the other mage specs. Like Fire has their own barrier of sorts. They're like Fire Barrier or whatever it's called. And then Frost has Ice Barrier, and they're all different to each class, which is something that's been a long time coming in my opinion. But what this does is that it like absorbs a small amount of damage and reduces the magical damage taken by 15%, and reduces the duration of all harmful magic effects against you by 25%. So it's kind of like mage armor combined with a ice barrier, which is really cool. And here's what it looks like. Kind of looks like Mana Shield from the previous expansions. Or it is Mana Shield from the previous expansions. And that's kind of like how it works. It's a 30-second cooldown, 30-second duration, as opposed to a 1-minute duration of the ice barrier from before. And I want to talk about this because they've changed up a lot of these talents, and I want to go over them real quick. This Prismatic Barrier will synergize with Mana Shield if you so choose to take it. And Mana Shield, what it does is it makes it so that your Prismatic Barrier has no cooldown, but your mana is drained by 50% of the damage it absorbs. So that's pretty interesting. Basically means you can spam Prismatic Barrier if you so choose to, which could probably mean that you will never die if you have mana. So that could be really useful in PvP, right? But also, I want to go over the talents that were completely changed and completely reworked. And that's going to be starting with Temporal Flux, which is really cool. It's like a ramp-up damage type talent. So whenever you will like cast your Arcane Blast, if you get to 4 charges, you're going to be casting your Arcane Blast 20% faster, which is really nice. And I choose to take this in PvP over the other 2 choices because it honestly will allow you to get that consistent damage if you have a moment to cast. So pretty worth it. So they've changed this level 30 talent tier a lot. Especially from like the beginning of Legion up until now, they've changed it again, and you have to pick between having mobility, having damage, like extra damage potential, and then having defensives. And this is the same for all of the mage specs, but in particular Arcane really shines in this because you have to choose through Shimmer, Presence of Mind, or Mana Shield, and all of them are useful. So I choose Presence of Mind because I think that having 2 instant cast Arcane Blasts is really valuable with synergizing with Overpowered, and I'll get into that in a moment. But having Presence of Mind is my choice. I think that Shimmer is great, but I also think Mana Shield's great for its own use. But Shimmer, like, you already have 3 blinks as Arcane Mage without Shimmer, so like I think Shimmer is a little bit overkill, whereas this is really valuable in its own way. So that's why I take Presence of Mind. They did nerf Rune of Power, so I think in Arena specifically, it only increases your spell damage by 30% whenever you're standing on it. And that will allow you to have 30% increased damage as opposed to the previous 50% increased damage. So that's the difference. So I'm only taking Kenner's Flow. So they actually removed Ice Flows from the Fire and the Arcane Mage specs, and now you have an ability called Chrono Shift. And what this means is that every time you Arcane Barrage a target, I actually just popped my Arcane Power. But anyways, every time you Chrono Shift or Arcane Barrage a target, you actually slow them by 30%, and you increase your movement speed by 30%. But what's cool about this is that it's not dispellable. So you can't purge this movement speed buff, and you can't dispel this unless you have like a freedom or something like that to reduce their movement speed by 30%. So just something that can help you with getting around and also slowing a target at the same time. And this can synergize pretty well with Torment of the Weak, because whenever you have your damage increased by 15%, that is only available whenever you slow a target. So it's, could be synergizing with that pretty well. And I actually take Time Anomaly because this class in particular is very inconsistent, and I think Time time anomaly actually allows you to bridge that inconsistency, because if you do the math on time anomaly, it turns out to be like every 1.5-ish minutes you'll get a proc, which is really valuable, especially since you get so much out of having a time anomaly proc. So pretty useful. And then Overpower is like the big change. So this one is like, it truly is overpowered, and I think it will be nerfed. But Overpowered, what it does is it makes it so that your arcane power increases damage by 100% and reduces the mana cost of all your spells by 100%. So not only does it make it easier for you to cast Arcane Blast, but it also increases the damage of everything that you do by 100%, and that's super, super crazy. And what's interesting is that in previous expansions, like the development team has always said that they want to get away from these like crazy cooldowns that increase your damage by so much, and like cooldown stacking to get huge amounts of damage out in like a small amount of time. So it's weird to see this design come into play, but I mean, I can't really complain as a mage player, but regardless, like, this will be nerfed. I do really see this being nerfed. But I can see it going down to like 60 or 50% to still be useful, but not be like too nerfed. But 100% is like way too much. So like I'm 2 to 3 shotting people when the stars align, and that's like really crazy. For PvP talents, I take Initiation because comboing that with your Overpowered burst is really nice, and your Presence of Mind. And when I was talking about the inconsistency of the class, I play Time Anomaly because it like really does kind of bridge that. But regardless, I do want to talk a little bit about Mass Invisibility, because a lot of people don't know, but you can actually Mass Invisibility, and then you can cast while invisible. So as you can see, like I'm polymorphing while invisible, and there's nothing he could have done to like outplay that. And I also have a cool sheep staff. So there's nothing at all that he could have done to get out of that. And I think that the Arcane Mage class really has its potential to shine against caster cleaves because of the Prismatic Cloak, comboing with Displacement, and refreshing your blinks, and then also having like Mass Invisibility to get away, your Greater Invisibility, your Prismatic Barrier. Like you have a lot to do that's like counters casters, and I think that Arcane Mage really thrives in that. But what's also awesome is that Arcane Mage does a huge amount of burst. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Mark of Alunith. I'm going to pop my Arcane Power. Oop, I actually just got a Time Anomaly, so that like randomly gave me 100% increased damage. And then I'm going to pop Mark of Alunith, and then I'm going to Arcane Power. Okay, 100% increased damage. I'm going to do Presence of Mind, so instant cast 2 Arcane Blasts, and then also Charged Up, which immediately grants me 4 Arcane Charges and increases my Arcane like blast damage by a ton, so upwards of 300% already. So having that plus the 100%, so as you can see, oh, I got another one. It's crazy how much it can actually proc. But what we're going to do, again, is Mark of Alunith, pop all of my damage cooldowns, and then Arcane Blast again, and then Arcane Barrage. And nothing crit there. If anything would have crit, he would have died way faster, but I still killed him in 4 abilities. So pretty insane how that works. And I also did a pretty big amount of AoE damage. Like this guy's at 60%, and he was just standing next to him. So if I would have crit any of those Arcane Blasts, they probably would have hit for 700k. If the Unstable Magic also worked on the that Arcane Blast that crit, then it probably would have done upwards of 1 million to 1.1 million damage, and if they both would have done it, then he would have died in 2 Arcane Blasts. So it's pretty crazy how much damage this class can really do, and it can happen every 45 seconds to 1.5 minutes. So yeah, you know, this class overall is seeing a pretty solid light, and I want to show you exactly how it works in a specific like actual arena, so that you can see how Arcane Mage really flows through an arena and how the playstyle works, and if they're actually able to kill people very quickly like I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and jump into those matches. I just want you, words I never said, but wanted to. I'm losing you, I'm losing you. Oh, but these thoughts won't let you go, they keep running back to you.
Ghosts. can't look the other way. I'm chasing starlight to find a style away. Breathe it in. It's just now. We're just wrong. And we won't always free fall back to nothing. 'Cause I'm just starting to learn. I've always been chasing
So let me catch you. So let me catch you slipping by.
And that does sum it up for me today, guys. I hope you did enjoy. Obviously, subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a like on this video if you did. Feel free to leave a comment down below if your opinion on if you will be playing Arcane Mage or what you think about the Arcane Mage class. But I think that this is cool. Obviously, I think Overpowered is truly living up to its name, Overpowered, but I think that it will be nerfed before the patch comes out. I mean, there's a lot of feedback going on for that specific talent, but I do think that it is a cool talent. I think that like increasing the amount of damage it can put out is cool. Just it's a little bit overtuned right now. So regardless, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.
I get my